Your body is trying to speak to you. But just like a toddler, if you ignore it or don't acknowledge what it's saying, it's only going to speak louder. And that is exactly what I experienced in my body, and maybe you can relate. For years, I had chronic back pain from my 20s all the way through like my mid 30s, and just chalked it up to maybe overdoing it in athletics. And all the things I tried, it just kept on coming back. And didn't notice till later on that it was very much related to my stress levels. And other things I experienced was I had plantar fasciitis for nearly 6 months. I had it where my right nostril I couldn't breathe through for almost a year. I had a skin condition. I had headaches, sleepless nights. I mean, there were so many things that my body was trying to communicate to me. But yet I made excuses for it, thought it was just something strictly physical, and did not realize what was going on behind the surface. And if you're noticing something in your body and you're feeling like you just feel off, it's lingering, maybe you're sick more often than you were usually, it may be a sign that you have some patterns of self-abandonment. And so, in this episode, I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why self abandonment shows up in our bodies and why our bodies love when we are self loyal, when we're actually taking care of ourselves, honoring ourselves, and aligning with our truths. So, first, let's jump into what self abandonment is and what self loyalty is. And I'm just going to give you a quick definition and explanation of this because I go much more in detail in previous episodes in this podcast. So if you want more, definitely check out those episodes. But self-abandonment is when you sacrifice yourself. It's when you look outside yourself for a sense of validation. It is in a form people pleasing. It's that perfectionism, thinking that if you hit this unobtainable standard, you'll have this sense of worth. But essentially, it's looking outside yourself for value within yourself. It is allowing others' energy to be more important than your own energy. It's relinquishing boundaries. It is so many aspects where your own integrity, your own values, your own purpose and love for yourself gets put on the back burner or never even acknowledged for the sake of something outside yourself. Self-loyalty is the polar opposite of that. It is when you are aligning with yourself. You've come to know yourself. You have connected with yourself or reconnected with yourself. You stand in your truth. You have an inner alignment of just love and peace within yourself, and you have like a place to come home to when the external world feels chaotic around you. It's a sense of being able to speak your truth, know your truth, and unapologetically live your truth. It is honoring your body, your mind, your spirit, and reconnecting with the essence of yourself and allowing yourself to experience the joy that comes along with that alignment. And so, why our bodies experience the symptoms when we're self abandoning is because self abandonment is a behavior and pattern of behaviors that are based out of fear. Self loyalty is a pattern of behaviors that are based out of love. And so therein lies the huge difference between the two. And it took me years to realize what was going on beneath the surface, and that these patterns that I just unconsciously participated in were actually all based out of this fear. It was fear of not feeling like I was enough, feeling like I had to prove myself to feel worthy, fear of that abandonment. If I keep myself small, if I just stay silent, then people will love me and I'll feel accepted. It was fear of not having the future that I wanted. And if I could just be perfect, then it would finally prove to myself that I was worthy of that. There was so much fear that went on in that. It was fear of not having the body that I thought I needed in order to be valuable. And so shaping that for years and just all this fear that was around of feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you're trying to prove that you're enough, and then seeking out that validation, approval, and praise from others to feel like you are enough. It's exhaustive and it's all based in fear. And ironically, no matter how much energy you put into it, it just leaves you in this vicious cycle. On the flip side, self loyalty is based out of love. It is a deep compassion for yourself. It's an understanding of yourself. It's a knowing of yourself, knowing what you stand for, what your values are, what you want in your life, and going after it. It is knowing that you are worthy of experiencing joy. It is knowing that you are worthy of your own time and energy. And it is also knowing that in your life, you have certain standards and parameters that you accept and allow within your life. It is knowing that you are worthy of boundaries and that only those who will uplift you and those who are in alignment with what you stand for are allowed to come into your life. It's knowing that you are worthy of those boundaries and that not everybody gets a seat at the table in your life. And so self-loyalty comes with a deep sense of love for yourself, that you are so worthy of having this life feel full, abundant, joyful. And it doesn't mean that it's all sunshine and butterflies, but it's knowing that even if the external world is falling apart around you, that you may lose things outside yourself, but in the process, you will not lose yourself. And that is the huge difference between self-abandonment and self-loyalty. In self-abandonment, you are willing to lose yourself so that you do not lose things outside of yourself. Self-loyalty, you are not willing to lose yourself, even if it means losing things outside yourself. And so when we talk about the body is in direct response to what's going on with us emotionally and mentally. So when we are self-sacrificial, when we are relinquishing our values and our energy and our time to things outside ourselves, we are showing our body that we are not even our own advocate. We are showing our body that we don't even have barriers up for protection for ourselves. And we are living in a chronic stress response based on the fear that's happening within that. What happens with the nervous system when we're in a fear response is that it is that sympathetic response that we are living in. And in a sympathetic response, that's the driving force behind when you see a bear in the woods and you either run from it, you fight it, you freeze, or you fawn, do the fawn response. And in the body, there's physiological changes that happen with that. Your fascia, which covers muscles and is connective tissue within your body, gets taut and very tight and actually changes its properties to where it doesn't move as well because it tightens in response of anticipation of having to use the body to protect itself. Your heart rate increases, your breathing rate increases, you become uber focused on what's going on, you can't think clearly. Your cortisol levels spike. There are so many physiological changes that happen when you're in that response. While that response is very adaptable and has protected us and allowed us to live as species, when we are in that chronically because we are self-sacrificial and we're literally leaving ourselves out there for anyone who wants to take our energy, that's when we start to feel these long-term effects of our body. And so if you're feeling constant tension in your body, you can't actually feel like you can relax. You feel that brain fog. You can't focus well. You feel like you're distracted easily. Your eyes feel strained. You have a headache constantly. You maybe experience some of the pain that I had experienced for years. You notice that your skin just doesn't have that glow to it that maybe it once had. Or you're feeling like you're constantly sick. You're dealing with illness after illness. Or even worse, in the long term, you're seeing some of these chronic diseases, these autoimmune diseases coming up, or other things, even to the extent where it becomes a long-term thing, cancers. This is all part of this that can really manifest when we are living in a constant fear response and living in this emotional turmoil of feeling like we have to sacrifice ourselves to survive. We have to sacrifice ourselves for everything outside ourselves. And so there's a lot that goes on in the body that may be communicating to you that it's time to shift and transform and understand the beliefs that are going on deep down that are causing these routine behaviors in your life. Your body loves self-loyalty because it's based out of that love for yourself. And it's not just that you're integrating self-care and doing some of the practices. It's that truly the energy behind that and the intent behind that is to love yourself, is to honor yourself, is to protect yourself, guide yourself, and live in alignment with what truly feels right for you. It does not mean that you live your life stress-free and everything is great. But again, when you are showing yourself that you have your back and that you will honor yourself, you're here to protect yourself, you're here for yourself, to love yourself, it allows your system to feel like it has a warm hug. It can take a deep breath. It can just relax for a minute because you are acknowledging the needs in what you need in this moment. Again, bringing it back to that toddler, think about the toddler who says, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy." And then you say, "What, buddy? What do you need?" You put your arm around them and say, "What can I do for you?" That toddler automatically feels heard, is feeling like, ah, okay, I don't have to constantly try to get mommy's attention. Like, I feel heard, and it settles in that moment. It's the same thing with you. Your system is desiring to be heard, to be seen, to be cared for, to be loved, and to approach it with compassion. And when you are self-loyal, you're giving it all of that. It's not feeling like it's living in this sense of scarcity, of trying to seek that outside of itself through jobs, through perfectionism, through relationships, through praise. It doesn't have to try to get all that because you are giving it to yourself. It's coming from within. So there's this sense of abundance that's from within you, that you are creating within your life. And in that, your system can relax. It can shift to that parasympathetic response, that rest, digest, restore. This is where healing can happen because your system is not gathering all the resources to run from that potential threat that it perceives. It is able to relax and allow the system to come back into a state of homeostasis, into balance. This is where your hormones can come back into a state of balance. This is when your muscles are allowed to elongate again. This is when you can feel like you can finally relax. And when you're living a more self-loyal life, you are in that parasympathetic response much longer than you are that sympathetic response. And this is truly how we were designed. We were designed to have those waves of sympathetic and parasympathetic, but in today's society where we are constantly bombarded by stress, and then to compound it when we are relinquishing ourselves over to the stress and seeking outside ourselves this sense of safety, now we're just inevitably putting our system into that sympathetic response much longer, never allowing our system to actually have that breath and transition over to a place where it can restore and cultivate more of that health and allow and release the things that are hindering it from that health. And so this is why your body loves self-loyalty. It goes beyond the mental and emotional aspects of it and living your truth and living a life of more freedom. But truly and physically, if you're noticing these signs and symptoms and you're feeling like something is off, it may be your body telling you it's time to honor yourself. It's time to come home to yourself. It's time to go within and allow that to be your source of energy, your source of love, and not feel like you're scrambling outside yourself to feel like you're enough. And so if this resonated with you and you're ready to step into that life of self-loyalty and leave self-abandonment behind, I invite you to hop on a discovery call with me and gain a better understanding of what's going on beneath the surface that may be keeping you stuck in some of these patterns. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope this has helped you plant that seed in your mind to allow it to rewire for more health, more freedom, and more love in your life.